Welcome to Books in Brief, the channel that gives you quick and concise summaries of popular books. Whether you're short on time or just looking for a quick refresher, we've got you covered. So sit back, relax, and let's dive into today's book summary. C.S. Lewis's The Great Divorce is not a traditional novel, but more of a Christian allegory, told in the style of a dream vision. Through vivid imagery and conversations, Lewis explores the deep divide between heaven and hell, and more importantly, the choices people make that keep them in one or the other. The story begins with the narrator, who seems to be Lewis himself, finding himself in a dreary grey town. It is always twilight there, never fully day or night. This place, we learn, is hell, though at first it doesn't look like the traditional fire and brimstone picture. Instead, it's bleak, empty and desolate. The people who live there are endlessly quarrelsome and dissatisfied. When neighbours disagree, instead of resolving their disputes, they simply move farther and farther apart. So the town stretches out endlessly, with houses scattered miles from one another. The narrator soon discovers that a bus is leaving the town, and he joins a line of people waiting to board it. The bus rises upward into the sky and eventually lands in a wide, green and stunningly beautiful land. This place is the outskirts of heaven, but there's a surprise. Though it is lovely, it's also painfully solid. The grass, for instance, is so real and firm that it feels sharper than steel to the feet of the visitors from hell, who appear ghost-like and insubstantial in this place. At this point, radiant, solid beings begin to approach the newcomers. These are the citizens of heaven, sent to greet and speak with the visitors. Their goal is to persuade them to leave behind their pride, sins and illusions so that they may become solid and remain in heaven. The narrator watches and listens as various conversations unfold. Each ghost is confronted gently but firmly with the truth of their condition, and almost every one of them resists. One ghost clings to intellectual pride, insisting that he prefers endless discussion and speculation over accepting the reality of God's truth. Another is consumed with bitterness and refuses to forgive an old wrong. A mother whose love for her son has turned into possessive idolatry cannot let go of her grief enough to truly love God. A lustful ghost appears with a small red lizard on his shoulder, symbolizing his sin. At first, he refuses to let it go, but eventually he surrenders, and the lizard is transformed into a magnificent stallion. This scene is one of the most powerful moments of the book, showing how surrendering sin leads not to loss, but to greater glory. Lewis shows us again and again that hell is not something God imposes on people against their will. Rather, hell is the final result of people choosing themselves, their pride, their anger, their lust, or even their distorted loves over God. They would rather cling to their illusions, even though it keeps them miserable, than surrender to the truth. Heaven, on the other hand, is open to all. But to enter, one must be willing to let go of self and embrace God fully. As the narrator listens and reflects, he encounters a guide, the writer George MacDonald, who had been a great inspiration to Lewis in real life. MacDonald explains the meaning behind what the narrator has seen. He emphasizes that there is a great divorce, a complete and absolute separation between heaven and hell. The two cannot be blended, and there is no way to carry the sins of hell into the joy of heaven. In the end, the narrator awakens, realizing that what he has seen was a dream. But the lesson is clear. The choices we make in life, whether to cling to our sins or surrender to God, are shaping us for either heaven or hell. The Great Divorce is not a theological textbook, but an imaginative parable. Through its dreamlike imagery, it presses the reader to consider their own heart. Am I holding on to pride, bitterness, or sin that keeps me from God? Or am I willing to let go and find true joy in Him? The beauty of Lewis's story lies in its hope. No one is forced into hell. People choose it, and anyone, at any time, can still choose heaven if they are willing to lay down self and embrace the love of God. That's it for today's summary on Books in Brief. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe for more book summaries. And if you have any book suggestions or comments, be sure to leave them down below. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time on Books in Brief.